All right, so in case we have not heard, the Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, has sided with the Biden administration to take down razor wire, which has been installed by Texas, led by Governor Greg Abbott's Operation Lone Star. Let's check it out.
The Supreme Court is now allowing Border Patrol agents to remove razor wire installed by Texas along the U.S.-Mexico border. The wire was put up to discourage illegal crossings. The Biden administration argued it hindered Border Patrol agents' ability to process migrants who are already in the country. In a 5-4 vote Monday, the justices overturned a lower court ruling preventing officials from taking it down. CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez joins us now. Camilo, tell us why did the administration why did the Supreme Court side with the Biden administration?
Good evening, John, from the Texas border town of Eagle Pass. This is at the center of this legal fight between the Biden administration and Texas Governor Greg Abbott. This is one of the sections, John, of the U.S.-Mexico border where Texas National Guard soldiers, some of whom you can see behind me, have been setting up and assembling razor wire to repel migrants from swimming across the Rio Grande and entering the U.S. illegally. By suspending this lower court ruling, the Supreme Court is saying that the Biden administration can now remove that razor wire that Texas has put in place to process migrants on U.S. soil. This was a brief order that did not include a legal justification, John, but we do know that the administration had said and argued to the High Court that this razor wire was obstructing and impeding Border Patrol operations, including efforts to process migrants who are already on American soil. And
that's all they want to do is process so they can release into the country. That's it. Sadly, Amy Coney Barrett was a part of that 5-4 decision. Ridiculous.
To respond to medical emergencies. It's important to note, John, that once migrants get into the middle of the Rio Grande, they're technically on U.S. soil, and Border Patrol has no option but to process them and determine what those migrants should end up happening to those migrants, I should say, whether they should be deported, released into the country, or detained for the adjudication of their cases. Texas, for its part, John, has said that this effort is designed to deter illegal border crossings.
So what happens now? Can Texas challenge the decision, or is this it?
This is in no way an end to this legal fight between the administration and Texas over this specific issue of the razor wire, John. This will suspend a lower court ruling, but an appeals court in New Orleans is still reviewing this case, John, and could very well side with Texas in another decision that we could get any day now, and the administration could eventually be again prevented from setting up or relocating and removing this razor wire, I should say. And so Texas still has some options here legally.
And very briefly, Camilla, before I lose you, since the Supreme Court didn't say anything, is the fight over Eagle Pass, the park in Eagle Pass, that just continues and this doesn't really relate to that at all? Or is there any kind of connection we can draw?
Well, the park is the one right behind me, Shelby Park here in Eagle Pass. Texas National Guard soldiers, John, commandeered this park earlier in January and have blocked Border Patrol agents, federal employees, from accessing this area to process migrants. The administration has said to the Supreme Court that this has obstructed Border Patrol operations, but the Supreme Court did not rule on whether or not Texas can continue to block Border Patrol agents from this area. But we do know that the Department of Homeland Security, John, has referred this matter to the Justice Department. So there could be a separate lawsuit on the merits of Texas's actions here in Eagle Pass as it relates to this park.
All right, so as of right now, we can still block these federal agents from this park that we took over, which I'm very happy we did. Now, we're going to talk about Operation Lone Star next and what Texas has been doing to curb illegal immigration at the border. Let's check it out.
Releasing new numbers on Operation Lone Star. That's the state's response to the unprecedented illegal crossings on our border. While in Eagle Pass recently, I had a first-hand update on the operation and responses to it from the ground. Governor Greg Abbott's deployment of Operation Lone Star.
Now, I do want to say this. This is the route I think we should have taken. I'm glad we've taken this route. I've been saying this for a long time to just take control of the border, do things, and deal with it in the courts. Until then, just keep doing what we've been doing, putting in razor wire, building barriers, things like that, and let the courts deal with it. But even then, if they side with Biden, ignore the courts. He does it, so why don't we do it?
Began in 2021, and so far it's cost the state some $10 billion.
We're here under the governor's order in order to protect Texas.
Texas DPS Sergeant Renee Cordova explains the state's heavy efforts with extra troopers, barriers, razor wire, and recently new arrests for criminal trespass are all in response to what state leadership calls a failure by federal authorities to secure more than 1,200 miles of Texas border with Mexico.
Of course, it's all along the border, but the main focal point right now is here in Eagle Pass. We're getting high crossings from different parts of the world.
We went for a walk along the razor wire on the riverbanks where we came across a pair of Guatemalan nationals who were looking to cross illegally despite all of the physical barriers.
¿Por qué se arriesgan tanto? Why do you guys risk it so much?
This man, who told me his name is Edwin, says they just want to surrender and ask for asylum. Operation Lone Star numbers show since its inception, they've had nearly 500,000 illegal immigrant apprehensions, close to 39,000 criminal arrests, and they've seized over 453 million lethal doses of fentanyl. This is the same operation where a floating border barrier in a section of river is still being used to deter illegal crossings.
I want to show you the controversial border buoys. This is about 1.5 miles down from Shelby Park. They're still in place in the water. Texas DPS officials saying that they will remain there until a high court finally issues a decision on the future of those buoys.
And the buoys will remain in place at least until May. So we have some time before they really take a look at this case here. So as of right now, we have at least in place till May, possibly June. And who knows, we could win that as well, and they could remain there indefinitely.
While Texas continues with these efforts, others like America Garcia of the Eagle Pass Border Coalition say it's all for show.
People are coming at this and they're saying, what can I get out of it? How can I improve my political ranking? How can I get campaign donations? And they're not saying, like, what is good for everybody?
She says the bill.
What is good for everybody is to shut down this dang illegal immigration. That's what's good for everybody. I don't know what she's talking about.
Billions of dollars spent on border enforcement is a waste.
Your schools everywhere in Texas need this kind of attention. Roads all through Texas need attention. Our hospitals, our infrastructure. Let's put that money to that.
What do you say to critics of Operation Lone Star who say it's time to wrap it up?
What I say to them is this is a rude awakening. This is actually the back door into the United States. And it's not only affecting the communities here, it's affecting people into the interior of the United States. So I don't see this going away anytime soon.
Well, the governor's numbers also show more than 100,000 migrants have been bused to other U.S. cities, with the majority of them taken to New York City.
All right, so that lady is not very smart, in my opinion. She says, well, we have infrastructure problems here. We could use that to infrastructure, education, schools, things like that. That $10 billion is being used at the border because Biden is not doing his job. He stopped the construction of the border wall as soon as he got into office. He got rid of catch and release, remain in Mexico, which was put in place Trump got rid of catch and release, and then Biden basically just ended that. And now they're able to be released to the country. And so, yes, we could use that money towards things here in Texas, roads, schools. But if the border was secured, we could put money towards that. So it's not all for show. She's saying it's used to boost donations and your political profile, talking about Governor Abbott. I know that's who she's talking about. He's already been reelected. And he's not up for election again until 2026. So what is he supposed to do about this? If the federal government is not doing their job, it's his job as governor of the state of Texas to do at least something about it, to put something in place to deter this nonsense, this invasion that we're seeing. Now, I want to talk about that a little bit more with what we're doing at Shelby Park and how we're arresting illegal aliens. This is different from SB4, which is going to take effect in March. Let's check it out.
U.S. border with Mexico, CBS News Texas cameras caught migrants giving themselves up and wanted Texas law enforcement to arrest them. This is happening as the Texas response to migration ramps up even more, with the National Guard putting up new razor wire this week in and around Eagle Pass. For weeks now, we've been telling you what's happening in Eagle Pass, and it's held the attention of the nation, especially in Shelby Park. That is where the Texas Military Department right now is arresting migrants and blocking access to federal agents. Our Ken Molestina got inside Shelby Park today, and can we understand that is where state officials explain to you they are arresting these migrants, but not federal authorities.
Right, and we're going to explain all of that. You should know, first of all, Nicole, the Texas Military Department, on the orders from Governor Greg Abbott, they took over Shelby Park about a week and a half ago, and as you mentioned, effectively limiting access to both federal and local authorities here inside that park. But earlier today, we were allowed in. We had access to take a look at the operation in there, including this new arrest policy that Texas DPS troopers are now enforcing.
And then this here is Shelby Park. This is
Texas DPS Sergeant Renee Cordova took us inside Shelby Park. DPS is the only agency allowed full access here by the Texas Military Department. And as of just a couple of nights ago, Texas troopers have started arresting migrants who cross into the park illegally for criminal trespass. We witnessed a 19-year-old woman and a 31-year-old man from Guatemala placed into handcuffs and taken away.
The only people that they are arresting are single females. Single males, but they must be at least 18 years of age.
Sergeant Cordova says this new arrest authority is not the same as the proposed Senate Bill 4. This comes under a disaster declaration from Governor Abbott, and it's meant to serve as a deterrent.
Once you start enforcing that law, the word will get out real quick and it'll start deterring people away from this area.
That was a case about a mile upstream from Shelby Park, where we met a pair of migrants named Edwin and Wilmer from Guatemala who say they were looking for another area to cross where they wouldn't be immediately arrested. Ahora, ¿cuál es el plan? What's your plan right now? To go look for Border Patrol?
Que ellos nos tomen, intentar entregarnos, no sé, a migración nos dijeron.
What they just said is that they're walking along the border here. They're looking for Border Patrol agents so that they can surrender to them. They're going to keep going upstream here. Obviously, they can't cross here because of the barbed wire.
Those responsible for the enforcement here say...
See, the barbed wire is acting as a deterrent. It is somewhat doing its job.
It's working, with numbers of crossings dramatically dropping. But for migrant advocates and Eagle Pass residents like America Garcia, this scale of operation is just too heavy-handed.
I would not have expected that this was possible in a democratic country. It just doesn't seem like something that we would do.
She's part of the Eagle Pass Border Coalition, who's pushing for the tension between state and federal authorities at Shelby Park to end.
I want the people from Texas Military Department and Department of Public Safety to go home. They're not from here.
I don't see this going away anytime soon until there's a change, higher ups. And but this is a situation that's not going to go away overnight.
That is the situation. The Texas Military Department, they have not granted any on-camera interviews. A spokesperson for TMD tells me that just last night they had 54 encounters with migrants here at Shelby Park. They say compare that to their peak about a week and a half ago when they had 2,000 encounters within a 24-hour time frame. Now, I should also tell you that U.S. Customs officials have sent the state of Texas a cease and desist order so that TMD can pull out of here and once again give border agents full access to Shelby Park. But as you can see, that has not happened.
Yeah, Ken, it's important to note the distinction of those numbers, you know, weeks from the other day, you know, 2,000 to 54, like you said, but it's also important to note the arrests that we're seeing right now are not under the new SB4 law, because that's not supposed to go into effect until March, right? The governor did sign it, state officials, it's in place to go into effect, but what is the difference between the arrest that we're seeing right now and what we could see in the next couple of months?
Well, as you mentioned, SB4, if that even does go effective, that clears all of the legal hurdles. That's based specifically on migrants who cross over illegally. If a state of Texas police officer or a trooper sees that, they can arrest them for the crime of entering the country illegally. What they're arresting them for here is for being on private property. It's a criminal trespass arrest. So again, those are the two differences. But criminal trespass, obviously, it is an arrestable offense in the state of Texas, and it is punishable. So that is the main difference here, Nicole.
Ken Molestina live.
There you have it. Now, let's check out some video from Texas Military Department and what they're doing under Operation Lone Star to deter illegal aliens. I just want you to see for yourself what we are doing as a state. So you know that it's not just completely unnecessary. I want you to see what the men and women here in Texas are doing to defend us. Now, had this barbed wire not, the concertina wire not been there, these agents had not been there, they would just be able to walk right in. The point, the strategy is to get them to a port of entry, to send them to a port of entry, and which will also limit cartel activity because then they can see what's coming through those ports of entry, versus just laying them in anywhere and run to the country.
No seamos así. No importa, cállese, mire el puente. ¿Cómo que conciencia? ¿Cómo que eso?
There you go. You see, people could not get through because of that. Now, Governor Abbott has hinted that he will he will continue to enforce Operation Lone Star. Let's check it out. He says this, and he pointed down to this. When he said, "This is not over. Texas Reservoir is an effective deterrent to the illegal crossings Biden encourages." This from Chris Alvarez. I think he's Texas DPS head or something like that. The state of Texas under Governor Abbott's Operation Lone Star will maintain its posture in deterring illegal border crossings by utilizing effective border security measures, enforcing reinforced concertina wire and anti-climb barriers along the Rio Grande. The logical concern should be why the federal government continues to hinder Texas' ability to protect its borders, all while allowing for the exploitation of dangerous and inhumane methods of permitting illegal immigrants, including children, to illegally cross a dangerous river where many have lost their lives. Texas is the only state using every strategy and resource to protect its sovereignty, combat criminal activity, and discourage illegal immigration. Texas will continue to hold the line. So Abbott is saying that he will continue to enforce Operation Lone Star, and Attorney General Ken Paxton is going to keep up the fight in this border battle with the federal government. He says the Supreme Court's temporary order allows Biden to continue his illegal effort to aid the foreign invasion of America. That's what it is. The destruction of Texas border barriers will not help enforce the law or keep American citizens safe. This fight is not over, and I look forward to defending our state's sovereignty. This is coming from the best Attorney General in the United States, and likely the most popular as well. Attorney General Ken Paxton has done a great job at suing Biden and winning cases relating to the border and other things. Now, we will see what happens in the coming weeks and months with SB4 coming into hopefully taking fold and becoming law. I mean, it is law right now, but we'll see if it, like the guy said, overcomes all its legal hurdles, challenges, it's going to face. Now, it's sad that the Supreme Court sided with Biden, but there are lower courts that are going to hear this. The Fifth Circuit has to hear it, and they'll make a decision. But good job at the state of Texas in pushing back against the federal government, pushing back against Biden's radical border policies. And I cannot wait until we get Donald Trump back in office and we can put an end to this nonsense once and for all, because they are trying to destroy the country. They're trying to flood the states with as many people as possible to allow for more congressional seats, for more Democrat voters. And you're going to radically change this country for decades. It's going to be hard to come back from this if they continue to do this. So good job at Texas, Governor Abbott, for stepping up. Some people say he should have been acting more aggressively as he is now sooner. I agree. But hey, you can only wait. You can only wait so long before you just say enough is enough. He tried to work with Biden and went to him for help and things like that, and told him, "Hey, when are you going to do your job?" But then enough is enough. So I'm glad we're building a wall here in Texas. Yes, we are building a wall. It's not talked about enough. It's not shown on TV enough. We are building a wall. We have thousands of agents at the border, deterring illegal immigration, intercepting fentanyl, arresting criminals. So we are doing something here in the state of Texas, and I commend Operation Lone Star. While it may not be perfect, for doing the job the federal government should be doing. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. See you next time. Thank you. Take care.